Hello, everybody. We're starting our live broadcast, which we'll explain a little bit, for our public hearing on a local law. We have a few members of the public that have appeared this evening, so we're just going to wait for them to be able to file into the conference room. Thank you for your patience. Hi there. How are you? So we have a live stream going on. Any members of the public that likes to sit and listen and contribute, feel free to take a seat over here. Did you get everyone signed in with the office? Thank you. Take a seat. Make yourselves comfortable. Matt, is the door open in case any other members of the public would like to come in?
Yes.
Come in? Great. Okay, it's now 5:04, so we'll get this started. We are here this evening at 5 p.m. holding our second public hearing regarding a local law to amend the charter of Putnam County by amending Article 8, Section 8.01, entitled Department of Law, County Attorney, Resolution number 215. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our first ever live stream public hearing on resolution number 215, except for 3:30 today, where we also live streamed it. For those who are not aware, a little bit of a civics lesson to explain what this actually is. Putnam County's charter mandates that for all local laws passed by the legislature, a public hearing be held by the administration in order to take public comment and feedback before I, as your county executive, approve or veto new legislation. These public hearings are advertised and promoted in the officially designated county newspapers, and in this case, that's the PCNR and the Putnam Press, as well as posted for all to see on the county website, www.putnamcountyny.gov. We typically hold these hearings in the county office building on the third floor, and traditionally, that is it. But I have made a commitment to making county government more transparent and accessible. Not surprisingly, I have been supportive of live streaming public meetings. On numerous occasions, I have advocated for the legislature to live stream their committee meetings and their full legislative sessions, both of which they now have the capacity to actually do. Earlier this year, the county installed a camera in the legislature's committee room in the county office building, which was admittedly a big step forward, deserving of recognition. However, they still do not yet broadcast their meetings live. Now, I wouldn't be much of a leader if I didn't live stream meetings myself. If I truly believe in this and trust that I do, then this administration should practice what it preaches. And as such, effective today, the Byrne administration will be live streaming all its public hearings on legislation via the county's YouTube page, which is, for those YouTubers out there, youtube.com/Putnam County Gov, the handle being @PutnamCountyGov. Simultaneously this evening, because this is a first and a very important topic, I am also concurrently but separately streaming this public hearing via personal devices to my own personal Facebook platform. And that's why I'm using my own phone, which you can see hooked up directly to the camera. So today, once again, welcome to our first, but certainly not the last, live stream public hearing, this particular hearing on resolution number 215 of the year 2024. And with that, we're going to open with a call to order, and I'm going to ask that our Deputy County Executive Army veteran, James Burpo, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
It would be an honor. Thank you, County Executive.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome, sir.
And now going to the reading of the public notice, which was dutifully published in our county papers. I'm going to call on our Chief of Staff, Matthew Cavucci.
Thank you, sir. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held before the county executive of the County of Putnam at the third floor conference room of the county office building, 40 Glenada Avenue, Carmel, New York, 10512 on the 23rd day of October 2024 at 3:30 p.m. and 5 p.m. concerning a local law amending the charter of the County of Putnam as approved and adopted by the Putnam County Legislature on October 1st, 2024, or Resolution 215, adding new provisions to Section 801. The first provision grants authority to the Putnam County Legislature to remove the Putnam County Attorney by a 2/3 vote of the County Legislature. The second provision prohibits the County Attorney from engaging in private practice or entering into employment with any private law firm or government entity in his or her field of expertise or of employment. Neither provision shall be applicable to the county attorney serving at the time the local law takes effect. Copies of the local law are available at the office of the county legislature, room 318, 40 Glenada Avenue, Carmel, New York, 10512. At the aforesaid time and place, all persons interested in the subject matter thereof will be heard concerning same. Comments will be accepted via regular mail submitted to the above reference address. To send an email, please go to the following website and click Send Us a Message, www.putnamcountyny.com/county-executive, and facsimile to 845-808-1901. This local law shall take effect 45 days after its passage and is subject to permissive referendum.
Thank you, Matt. Well done. Now, on that note, we're going to open this public hearing up to public comments. If there's any comments from the public who are here that wish to make a comment on the proposed local law. There being none, I'll ask Matt, our Chief of Staff, as well as Lisa, our confidential secretary. Have there been any submitted public comments, either in writing via mail or email?
No, sir.
Thank you. Then on that note, I'm going to read my public comment, my statement regarding the proposed local law before we adjourn this meeting. On October 1st, 2024, the Putnam County Legislature passed a local law to amend the charter of Putnam County by amending Article 8, Section 8.01, entitled Department of Law, County Attorney. I believe this proposed law is fatally flawed for a number of reasons. Therefore, it is incumbent upon me to veto it. This law is contrary to the plain meaning of the statutes that guide this county, the county charter, and New York state law. By passing this law, the legislature is attempting to usurp the authority of the county executive and strike a blow against the Putnam County Attorney. This local law is the latest in a series of outrageous and legally flawed actions, the sole purpose of which are to injure and defame the current county attorney, disrupt the orderly functioning of the law department, and ultimately to undermine the authority of the county executive. The first version of this law was originally placed on the legislature's agenda for consideration at the August 14th, 2024 meeting of the Rules Committee. It was later removed and placed on the agenda for the August 26th meeting of the Rules Committee. As the legislative process continued, different versions of this legislation were repeatedly changed to mask the true purpose and intent of this legislation. The original version clearly shows the intent of certain legislators to seize control of the county attorney's office from the executive branch and impose their will upon the county attorney. It is my belief that they are doing this to retaliate against the current county attorney for reporting a sitting individual legislator's conflict of interest to the Board of Ethics. It is important to note that reports to the county's Board of Ethics are traditionally kept confidential and are nearly always protected from FOIL, and for good reason. To keep the independent Board of Ethics from inappropriate outside political pressures. This particular report was made public not by me or this administration, but by the legislature when it, seemingly under the direction of its chair, elected to release the report to the Journal News in a response to a FOIL request. Simply put, the county attorney reported a conflict. It has since been made public, involving a sitting legislator who failed to disclose that the individual's family members stood to reap significant benefit from the proposed sale of a county property. It has since come to my attention that while certain individuals, including legislators, were actively pursuing special conditions for the purchase, some legislators were aware of this conflict, while others were not. In any case, it is important to note that the conflict was never properly disclosed to this administration. This conflict was not publicly stated until a controversial May 16, 2024 Rules Committee meeting pushed it into the sunlight. This same legislative meeting is central to the county attorney's report filed with the Board of Ethics. Now, during the 2 months after the initial consideration of this legislation before us, multiple changes were made to conceal the true purpose and intent of the legislation. Presently, the county charter vests the power to initiate the removal of the county attorney with the county executive, albeit then requiring the concurrence of a 2/3 majority vote of the county legislature. The legislature itself cannot presently remove the county attorney on its own initiative without cause. Legislators, including the chair of the legislature, during legislative meetings have claimed the existing cause required to initiate legislative removal is too, quote, restrictive, and that the legislature simply wants to, quote, broaden it, when in truth, their proposal does not broaden, but completely eliminates requiring any cause for removal. The new language allows the legislature to remove the county attorney for any reason or no reason at all without the consent or concurrence of the county executive, clearly curtailing the authority of the county executive. The county executive is the only officer presently with the authority to initiate the removal of the county attorney without specific justification. This proposal is also manifestly against New York State law, as it changes the authority of the county executive over the county attorney, which is a power conferred upon the executive branch by the Putnam County Charter. Such a change in the powers of the county executive requires a mandatory referendum under New York State Municipal Home Rule Law, Section 23. No provision for a mandatory referendum was included in any version of this law, and importantly, is absent from the law passed on October 1st, 2024. Additionally, the original law stated that, quote, this local law shall take effect immediately, as provided by law upon filing with the New York State Secretary of State, end quote. Again, this clause flies in the face of the requirement for a mandatory referendum. As noted, New York State law requires that a change to the executive power conferred by the county charter requires a mandatory referendum. The latest version passed on October 1st calls for a, quote, permissive referendum, which is a completely different process that requires citizen petitioning. Simply put, the members of the legislature who passed this law want to ram it through and disregard the requirement of a mandatory referendum, thus denying the right of the citizens of Putnam County to weigh in as state law requires. What is vitally important to understand is that the genesis of this legislation is the desire to harm, marginalize, and weaken the county attorney, the law department, and the authority of the county executive. In an effort to disguise the true intent of this law, the members of the legislature who passed it changed the effective date to January 1st, 2027, and have made this law, quote, not applicable to the county attorney serving at the time this law takes effect, end quote. Those changes in no way cure the procedural defects I discussed earlier. Delaying the effective date of the law does not diminish the fact that the law divests the county executive of authority conferred by the charter, triggering the requirement for a mandatory referendum, nor does it diminish the fact that the real reason for the change is retaliation. Notably, the rationale advanced by proponents for passing this legislation is belied by the statements of the chair of the legislature, who prior to passing the law on October 1st of 2024 stated in their legislative discussion that it was, quote, personal and political when the county attorney filed an ethics complaint against a member of this legislature, end quote. Chairman Yonke was referring to the complaint submitted following the May 16th Rules Committee meeting where the current county attorney was questioned about his authority to file an action related to the conflict I discussed earlier. An action that was, in fact, successful and saved taxpayer dollars, better positioning the county to relist and ultimately effectuate the sale of a county property. It should be noted that a bipartisan group of legislators, Goldman, Crowley, and Montgomery, all voiced their individual objections to the passage of this law. Throughout various iterations of this law and throughout multiple committee meetings and votes, it is also significant to note that legislator Adonisio, the individual legislator who was the primary subject of the ethics complaint, again a complaint which was shared with the press by the legislature, not this administration, she repeatedly recused herself from votes and at times discussions related to this legislation before us, but inexplicably did not recuse herself on October 1st when she cast the deciding vote on this legislation without explanation. If legislators truly believed this to be sound policy, they would have done so correctly with the required mandatory referendum. And they would have proposed it last year, not amid deliberations over a $205 million county budget, and not before the Board of Ethics completes its important work. It is my belief that the reasons the legislature is railroading this through is retaliation, and because they fear the potential result that may come from the Board of Ethics, and that they also fear this year's election results could prevent them from overriding a veto in the future. All of which are horrible reasons to push through such a significant change to checks and balances in our charter. For all of the reasons I have stated today, I am compelled to veto this proposed law. With that, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you for your time.
Well done.
Absolutely.
Really well done.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Awesome.